So last month I put out a call for video ideas to you guys over in my community tab. And one that came up that I thought would be really interesting is how to get comfortable improvising over unfamiliar chord progressions and any kind of advice I might have for that. As a professional jazz musician, that is something that I come across quite a lot, is either learning a new standard for a gig or learning someone's original tune and having to figure out how to improvise and say cool ideas and things that I'd like to say over that chord progression. And so really the first kind of step that I would always take is I want to be able to play some chords over that. This is kind of the first step. So, and the example that the subscriber who suggested this said was a minor 1-6-2-5-1. So if we were to look at that, say in the key of C minor, my chords would be C minor, or C minor 6 if you wanted to be fancy. Then I would have A minor 7 flat 5 or A7 altered. Doesn't really matter which way you go there. D minor 7 flat 5 and then G7 altered. So over that, the good news is all of that fits loosely in the key of C minor. The A diminished makes it kind of a melodic minor sort of sound, which is a beautiful sound that hopefully we're maybe familiar with, but if we aren't, that's okay. So say I'm trying to come up with something over now there's a couple different ways that you can approach these. And the first one that I always like to go to is to simplify it a little bit. So if I think C minor and A minor 7 flat 5 or A half diminished, those are actually inversions basically of the same chord. So C minor 6 and A minor 7 flat 5 have exactly the same notes in them. So when I think about that, if I use C minor 6, those notes will work over both of those chords. And then this is something that you might have heard somewhere else on YouTube. I don't think I've ever talked about it on my channel yet. But whenever you see a situation where there's a 2-5, especially a quick 2-5, and what I mean by that is 2 beats of a 2 chord and 2 beats of a 5 chord, you can just think about the 5 chord. So just to give you an example of what I mean here, let me record a quick loop if I go. So here, I have 2 beats of every chord, C minor, A minor 7 flat 5, D minor 7 flat 5, G7. There, I was just kind of riffing. It was not by any means the world's best solo or improvising, but all I was thinking, and I hope you could maybe hear that in my phrasing, is that I was treating it as C minor going to a G7, and I was really kind of playing on the altered notes on the G7. But so that's a really good way to kind of approach it, is just getting comfortable, simplifying what you have to think about, at least at first, because it'll make your life a whole lot easier. To give you another kind of example, if I was playing over, say, a 1-4-5 in the key of or let's just make it a major 1-6-2-5, I would do the exact same thing, except I would be thinking C major, G7. Something like that, where I'm thinking about less material. So now, another approach that you could take to get comfortable over these is to come up with some exercises that create a framework around that chord progression. So if I was trying to play, and let's use a different chord progression, I'm going to steal the first 4 bars of the changes section of Cedar Walton's Bolivia. If you aren't familiar with this tune, it's an incredible it's an incredible tune from an incredible album. The album's called Eastern Rebellion. But I remember when I first played this song when I was in university, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. So the chords are E flat major 7, or here I'll play a little bit more strict. I played a 6/9, so E flat major 7 goes to A dominant 7, A13 more specifically. Then you get D major 7, and then you get A flat dominant. So this is a bit of a tricky chord progression for some people because we can get lulled into a sense of security with these 2-5-1s and similar vocabulary. But the trick is, if the harmony moves like this, oh, it goes to G major there afterwards. But what I would do is I would play some simple arpeggios over them. So say I play that bar of E flat major, I'd play A flat 7 there, or sorry, A7 there, then D major 7. So I'm just playing the arpeggios, and in there I've already found some cool little stuff where from E flat major 7, so again, if I go to the 5th there, I'm ending the 3rd of E flat major 7 is also the flat 7th of this A dominant 7. So then if I go down this arpeggio E, I go down an A dominant 7 arpeggio there. So that was E flat up, A7 down, sorry. That'll lead me right to D major 7. It's the same thing but a fret lower now. And in there, there's a bunch of cool little slips that I could do, right? Like for example, the D, which is the major 7 of E flat. If I was on that note, I could fall to the 3rd C sharp of that A dominant chord. And then from D major 7, that same thing, that C sharp can fall to C, which is the 3rd of my A flat. So by going through and doing some arpeggio exercises or scales, you can find all these little bits to hit. And again, when you start, like let me get a new, here I need to flip away for a second. If I get a new loop happening of those first 4 bars of Bolivia, so let's say 1, 2, So here's my chords coming back. Now if I were to solo over it, just finding some of those okay notes. And again, sorry, it took me a second to stop it there, but you're just looking for simple little things that you can grab and can help you kind of push your way through. And by sitting down and spending some time playing just straight arpeggios through the chords, you can find some of those things. And then really, it's just like anything. It's going to be uncomfortable at first. It's not going to feel like you're totally nailing it, and that's okay. If it was easy, everybody would improvise beautifully over every chord progression under the sun. But I hope that kind of makes sense and gives you a framework to think about when you're approaching improvising over different chord progressions. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It truly helps me out more than you could know. If you want to take a guitar lesson with me, there's a link down in the description there. I'd love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. I've been working with a bunch of you guys from YouTube lately, and it's been super fun to connect with people all over the world. If you want to support me and all the free educational content I put out on this channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon down below and get early access to all my videos. You could also purchase either my book that's full of scale and arpeggio diagrams or my video course from my store down there as well. I got new videos coming out every single week, so I hope I'll see you in the next one. And until I do, I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you have some fun playing the guitar.